Good morning. So, I was at work the other day and a customer came in and says, "Hey, you have a 3D printer and I need a part really bad." So he brought this to me. And apparently this is like a door latch for an old Airstream trailer and he hadn't been able to find one. So he goes, "Do you think you can make it?" So I said, "Well, let me go ahead and give it a try and see what I can do." So I do 3D printing. Um, this is my setup right here. This is an ANET A8 3D printer. I built this from scratch. When I got it, it came with a box of parts from China. So I assembled it and did tons of modifications in order to make it safe and give it extra support and stuff. So that's what I'm going to do it on. Now let me kind of talk about the process of this. So when I get a part from a customer, and I've done this a few times for people, the first thing I do is I typically get measurements. So I'll kind of draw out the part and kind of get an idea as to what size and stuff. And the way I measure it is with my digital caliper here. And I usually do it in millimeter just because that's what's most compatible with these printers. You can do it in inches, just takes extra measurements. So I'll take that, then I'll come over to my fancy dancy little computer here, and the program I use to draft it or do CADing is Fusion 360. So I use different elements in it, and this is what I came up with, which is fairly close to what he gave me. There are a couple little angles and stuff that I wasn't able to produce. I'm just not that proficient with the program yet. So after you do that, you got to be able to get it to a format for the printer to detect the code for it. And the way I do that is through a program called Kara. So with Kara, what it does is it takes that 3D model and converts it over into a language for the printer. And in this case, it's going to be G code, which is just the basic code, tells the printer which position to put the print head and stuff. It's just a series of letters and numbers. Good old programming, which I like. Can't go wrong. The program I use for my printer, this is actually the software for my printer. I got a print server running, and this is Octoprint. And as you can see, it's a fairly simple user interface. I do have a webcam hooked up. And kind of doing the temperature right now. I'm getting my print head warmed up and it's real close to being where it needs to be. So okay, so one thing I wanted to show you back at this one, we'll look at how it's going to build it. So let's start with the ground level 0. So you can see that it's got the base, and as it progresses through, let me do this. As it progresses through, it kind of adds the layers and how it's going to form, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off the print job here real soon. 8240. Let's go ahead and load the file. Boink. And let's go ahead and say print. And then if we come back over here, see, my print head is moving where it needs to go. Now with this, couple features I do have with this printer is I've added a glass bed. It just prints so much better. And then the other thing I have is an auto bed leveler. So it takes a couple passes to get the filament to start coming through the head. Sometimes it jams up on me. There it goes. Now it's starting to lay out. And that's what it does, is it just takes several passes like that. This part will take about 40 minutes to print. I have it printing pretty thick, just because I imagine it's going to have a lot of support. So we'll catch up in just a minute here. So as you can see, this is about halfway through the part. And it just does its thing. So what there's 3 axes for this. X, Y, and Z. So it's got 3 different sets of motors, so to speak. So it's got one motor that moves the tray forward. It's got one motor that moves the shuttle sideways, and it's got a set of motors on each side that lift the carriage up. So those work in conjunction, and that's what that G code does. Is it says, okay, these motors put here, put this here, put this here, and then extract so much filament, and that's how that works. So pretty simple. Alright, as you can see, my part has finished. So let's take a look at it here. Look at that thing. So if you notice, there is a brim right here, or a rift. And what that is used as kind of like glue to keep the main part in place while it's printing. This is a heated bed, so this is pretty hot to the touch right now. It's about 72 degrees. So it mounts it to that. Not bad. I'll set the other part right up next to it here, so you can see the difference, old to new. Let's go ahead and see if we can remove that. It's still pretty adhered to there. So let's give it a couple minutes to cool down. I don't like to pull on it when it's hot. As it cools down, what will happen is it'll separate from the glass. So let me give it a couple minutes to cool. Alright, so it's been a couple minutes. The temperature of my bed is now 48 degrees Celsius. So should be really close to being able to pull off. Should be able to just go kaboink. Oh man, she's still stuck pretty good. Good print. That's what that indicates. So we'll give it a couple more minutes. So through the process of making this video, I've just got a new camera, and of course I lost the audio feed, so I have to make up here. Anyways, so here's the part completed, and it's still a little stuck to the bed, but it did come off, and it's looking really good. I like how it just really is a firm connection there. And as you can see, it's really glassy on the back side, and that means that it bonded really good and that it printed really well. There was no slipping around, so no lines were shifted or anything in the part, and that's very important. So after that, what I do is I remove the brim, and usually you can pry it right on off. It comes off fairly easily, and that's kind of what it does. So there is still a little rough edge on it, but that's easy to take care of. So the way I do that is with a Dremel. Now I picked up this Dremel at Harbor Freight for like 10 bucks. Came with a bunch of different tips and stuff. And I just go around the edge where that brim was at and clean up the part and any strings or anything that might be there. And then I pretty much have the finished product at this point. So I'm happy with it. So let's see. So kind of compare the two and get an idea, and it came out close. As you can see, there is that little bit of a bevel edge. So, and I just, again, wasn't proficient enough to try to figure that out with the software I use. Just haven't had a chance to learn that. All a learning curve. It's taken about 2 years to be able to get to this point. So I've made a couple of them here, and as you can see, I cut one down with that bevel, and I think that'll be the one he probably uses, but give him a couple options. Cost about 8 cents to make a part, so that's about what it filament, 7 foot of length. So that's what it is. So pretty cool, be able to make your own parts right from home. Can't complain. So I hope you enjoyed this video. There will be more posted as I do stuff. I'm always doing things, so look forward to viewing in the future.